Hey gang, what's going on? Today we're going to talk a little bit about bad levers. So Brendan, let's talk a little bit about bad levers and why they're bad.
Oh, you wish.
So first of all, what is a bad lever? What does it mean? So the bad lever, or the BAD, stands for battery assist device. So Brendan, why don't you go ahead and talk a little bit about it?
Well, the battery assist device allows me to pretty much release the bolt forward, right? Or lock the bolt to the rear using my index finger, right? Now, I used to not run this. I used to be the big proponent of just having my thumb index the once I index the magazine, just have my thumb release the bolt forward until I've ran an AR mag lock, right? The one big thing in California is if you're running a fixed magazine gun with the ability to lock the slide back or the bolt back to the rear, is that if it's slightly open like this, there are times with different types of tolerances on each gun that if you release it forward, it may not close the action itself, right? So that's why for me, because I did once initially when we started doing this, I cracked one of my lower receivers up here.
Nice.
Right? In the effort to go fast when you're shooting, because if at this point right here, due to California law, it is actually taken down. So if I shoot this one right here, the bolt puts pressure directly in the top of the back of the receiver. So I ran into the bad lever when I started looking for ways for me to, when I'm doing reload, for me to lock up, right, the rifle or a fixed mag rifle and then release the bolt forward. It's more of a safety thing for me. When I'm running standard rifles though, I have just gotten used to it just because since I run it on my fixed mag gun when me and Ernie are teaching non-law enforcement, non-military classes, I just run it on all my guns because since I run it on my fixed mag gun, which I run most of the time, I don't want to be, fumbling around when I'm running like a standard rifle that I technically don't need this, right? Now, the big benefit of it, personally for me, is it does allow you to be slightly faster, right? It's like the difference between a slide lock and then racking the slide to the rear. It's almost non-existent. It's almost preference at all, but it does make a difference for me a little bit. And the biggest thing I think that helps me out on this one is that when I run into a type 3 failure, right? If I had the double feed, I actually don't have to use my support hand to lock the bolt to the rear, right? And then clear that malfunction. All I gotta do is keep my hand, primary hand on the grip and then lock the bolt to the rear and then clearing that malfunction without breaking my firing hand at all. And I think if at the very least, that is the biggest benefit of having a bad lever, is that it allows you for a smoother, like fix on a type 3 problem. But like I said, if you do have a fixed mag gun and if you do have an AR mag lock, I do suggest, and I'm a big proponent of a bad lever. One, it's a safety thing. Two, it does allow you to be faster because with an AR mag lock or a fixed mag gun, you have to be very, very deliberate, right? And again, the bad lever is such a simple device, and I think it's actually really cheap. It just allows you to pretty much release the bolt forward, lock it to the rear with just your primary hand. That's it.
Right on. Now, actually, it's funny because for all the reasons you mentioned why you like it and use it, I'm going to actually lobby against it in a way, not because I don't like it per se. I mean, some people would say it's cheating. Maybe. But if you're not cheating, you ain't trying. That's for sure. Right. But I'm going to lobby against it, and it's because I'm correct-handed. Okay? So using that bad lever for me, it really doesn't do anything for me. And some of the things that Brendan mentioned, that say for instance, locking the bolt to the rear and that assist that it gives you when say clearing a type 3 or some other type of stoppage or malfunction, okay? As a lefty, my trigger finger is already at the bolt catch. So if I wanted to lock this bolt to the rear, I've already done that with my trigger finger. So I don't need that bad lever to do what he needs doing it righty. So I have that ability. From the safety aspect of the taking the action with the fixed mag and the AR mag lock, okay, similar considerations, but when if you wouldn't mind, excuse me a second, when I'm actually taking this action, so let me go ahead and lock that bolt back, and I have the action separated and I send that bolt forward, I send it forward with my trigger finger, so it's another thing where I don't need the bad lever. Now, as Brendan mentioned, this action is still taken down. For me, I will close it when I actually get my support hand forward by giving that little torque, okay? So that's a consideration that I've done, not having the bad lever, because actually having it might actually be an impedance for me. So I focus on making sure that support hand gives a little torque as it goes forward, thereby closing the action. Now, because my hands are opposite Brendan, let's just say, okay, a couple considerations is that when I actually send the bolt forward normally, as I mentioned before, I actually use my trigger finger. So it's actually interesting how where the bolt catch is located, all I have to do is hit this and that bolt is going to go forward and I'm back in the game, so to speak. Okay, when I want to, and this is now where it's a disadvantage, when I want to drop that magazine, unlike a right-handed person, this is where I have a little bit of problem, because now, first of all, hitting that kingpin on, say, the AR maglock is actually easy for me. I can actually do it with my primary hand by simply rolling my base index knuckle onto the to the kingpin. So hitting the kingpin for me is super easy, where some right-handed folks get kind of caught up in between the safety selector switch and the actual kingpin. For me, I just roll it and I'm right there. But I actually have to come from my support hand position. I actually have to come from there to use my thumb to hit that mag release. So I actually have, not say have more time, I'm slower in doing so. So it's a trade-off. So preference on that one. Now, as a lefty, the bad lever doesn't do it for me. As a righty, there's some advantages. And it boils down to preference. Right?
It's funny because more modern lower receivers actually, the bad lever, all it is, it allows the rifle to be pretty much ambidextrous when it comes to the bolt catch, right? It allows you to have a bolt catch on the other side of the rifle. More modern designs of the AR-15 that has like a ambidextrous design on it. Yep. It's actually by doctrine that when you're doing a type 3 failure, you use your index finger to lock the bolt to the rear with the bolt catch on the other side. And so that's why for us mil-spec folks, right, because you know we're basic and we're mil-spec, you need a bad lever if you're right-handed. And you know, Ernie's right. If you're left-handed, it doesn't really offer you any advantage because you're coming back, your support hand's coming back anyway. So there's really no advantage of it. So
right. So just a couple considerations. If you're correct-handed like me, then you're not really down for the bad lever. If you're wrong-handed like Brendan and you're running mil-spec, then you might actually like it. But again, what works for you, what makes you a better shooter, and certainly does not make up for crappy technique. So get your technique down and see if you like it, don't like it. But if it makes you a better shooter, why not? What do you think?
Let's go shoot.
Yeah. So let's actually demonstrate this thing, right? Yeah. So let's throw our ears on.
We got 1R1 going on here.
We're doing a 1R1?
Yeah. On a non-broken in rifle. Oh, switch targets.
All right, so why don't you go ahead and demonstrate your 1R1 first, okay? I'll go ahead and beep you, right? We'll go ahead and demonstrate a 1R1.
You want it slow?
Yeah, do it slow so that way you can demonstrate the use of the bad lever, okay? And you ready?
Yeah.
Ready?
So go up, engage your target, shoot, run empty, drop the magazine, index the magazine, and from here I can close my action and then engaging back into the target, right? At full speed, like I said, it allows me to simultaneously close the top and the lower receiver and then releasing the slide forward. Because again, different tolerances and different rifles, sometimes, and I've seen it on like either weaker spring magazines, in which if the upper and the lower half is separated and you release the bolt forward, it actually jams. So this one, it allows me, you know, proper manipulation and pretty much returning the rifle back to its standard configuration, pretty much.
Cool. I'm gonna go ahead and demonstrate, again, doing lefty without the bad lever and some of the considerations that I go through and how I do this 1R1. So, come up, shoot one. I'm in bolt catch. I'm gonna go ahead and hit that kingpin, drop that mag, new mag up. My trigger finger is already at the bolt catch, and as I slide forward, send that upper receiver in, send that bolt forward, and take my second shot. Okay, so for me, it actually works better, obviously, without.
Yeah, like I said, it's good when you're left-handed, actually, believe it or not, on a mil-spec, if you're running fixed mag, because you're able to close that receiver without actually releasing the bolt forward first.
Yeah. So a couple considerations: bad lever, not bad lever, and whether you're left-handed, right-handed.
If you're really worried about it, just buy an ambidextrous lower. So seriously.
Yep. So there you go.
You want to do this?
So what are we doing?
Speed?
One at a time?
No, together?
Sure.
Okay. Bad lever.